There's nothing like cracking that cellophane and pulling that record out. It just smells great.
Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Non-stop hardcore energy.
I love the show, guys. You're awesome.
Unlike any other.
With your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bod Father.
Man, this stuff rocks.
Hey, everybody, this is Screamin' Jack Novak from Fastest Land Animal, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
The views and opinions of the guests do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of BODS Mayhem Hour, its staff, affiliates, or sponsors. Parental discretion is advised. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I'm your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bod Father. And as always, I'm bringing you guys and gals awesome interviews. Today, it's a huge honor and privilege to welcome Screamin' Jack Novak of Fastest Land Animal. And they have released their sophomore album entitled East Coast, West Coast, In Between. And you also want to check out singles Out of Range, Cowboys in Nashville, and Next to You. So, Jack, how's it going, man? And welcome to the podcast.
We're happy to be here, and thanks for having us. My man, John the Bod.
That's right. That's right. The one and only. The Adonis, as I call myself. No, I don't call myself the Adonis. Trust me.
Before we hit the air, I was just admiring your Misfits poster behind you on the wall there. This is Fastest Land Animal is a project that's close to my heart, and it's rooted in punk. And Misfits are one of the original punk bands of all time, and they're great. And I'm an East Coaster, and they're from Jersey, right across the river from me. So I'm excited to see that piece of artwork on your wall.
I'm hoping soon to have that piece of artwork on my wrist. So,
oh yeah,
hopefully, or I may get it on my shoulder like Cliff Burton. So, yeah. That band is iconic to me. They're the ones who actually made me broaden my horizons. Actually, if that makes sense, in a way, because I was just, always constantly metal. If it ain't metal, it's nothing, And then my friend is like, listen to the Misfits, man. And I started listening, and I was like, holy shit. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah. They kind of drew the line between metal and punk, or punk and metal. And then a lot of bands took that through line and kept going with it. Then you get to the hardcore scene, and, bands like Black Flag, of course, and Agnostic Front. And then right through to, I could say Metallica. Early Metallica, same thing.
Mm-hmm. Madball, another great group. And you know what? The thing about the Misfits is they made it okay. They made you feel like it was okay to be yourself. If you wanted to be a horror guy and sing horror stuff and sci-fi, it's there. Go for it.
Well, that's the beauty of punk rock. That's why I love it so much. That there was a difference. Before punk rock, there was the band. They were on the stage. And then there was the crowd and the audience. They were, in the crowd. Punk rock stopped doing that. The band and the audience were the same. Sometimes people in the audience were the band. They were on stage. Sometimes they were in the crowd watching the other band. It was made everything level. And anyone could do it as long as you could write good music and have something to say. You weren't like prohibited from entering this world of rock stardom because you couldn't play guitar like, Jimi Hendrix or Eddie Van Halen, or couldn't sing like Robert Plant. It didn't matter. You could do it too. And that the DIY ethic is so central to not only punk, but just, that's what music should be about in general. It's meant for the masses, and it's meant for the masses to enjoy and the masses to experience.
I agree with that 1,000%, my friend. So the second album, East Coast, West Coast, In Between, is out right now. How good does it feel to have the second album in the Fastest Land Animal Music Library at this point?
It feels really good. Like I feel, I can't wait till we do our third album, whenever that is. But this one is less bittersweet than the first one. The first one we recorded right when the pandemic was starting. There were no gigs. Nothing was open. We were stuck at home. and we decided, because we had nothing else to do, let's record an album. We could do it remotely from our home studios and glue it together at the end. Then finally we were allowed to go back on the road and start touring again and play those songs live. This album, we used the same process wherein we recorded from home and glued it all together, just because we live all over the country, hence the name of the album. I'm an East Coaster. Our bass player, guitar player, West Coast, and the drummer is in between. He's in Texas. But now we just released the album, and we're going out on the road in like a month and a half, and we just can't wait. This is it's like kind of back to normal.
How difficult was that, though, for this band to start writing and doing stuff at home? And I know this was difficult on a lot of fronts for everybody, but how difficult was that for this band, though, getting off the ground, and now here's a second album to be created?
Well, we knew each other from prior bands, so we all worked well together. And our producer, Don Gilmore, we had worked with him a bunch. So we were all comfortable. The relationship musically and personally too was already there, and we were comfortable with it. It was, a little weird, but not being in the room with the guys and being able to play music live to work through stuff and workshop stuff. But it's amazing how resilient the human, brain is. You just get used to the new, whatever that new normal was for a while. You get used to that really fast, and you're like, okay, we're going to record an album the same way you and I, John, are talking right now over a screen, and I can hear their music. We can talk things through, and then we can go have dinner, go to bed, come back the next day and pick up where we left off. So the thing you miss the most is, I love the recording process. Ideally, you should be in a studio together, but we can make it work remotely. Playing live in front of an audience, you can't replace that. Right. We could do a lot of streaming stuff and that kind of thing, but it's not like playing in front of thousands of people and hearing the immediate feedback on what you're doing, and then it works. And rock and roll is supposed to be live and energetic and sweaty and all those things. And it's, hard to do that without being there in person.
Yeah, it's like everybody had to adapt. And now, since everything's reopening back up like crazy, now we have to readapt to, like getting that social take again, to be in front of everybody and learn how to be sociable. And not have
other humans, what am I going to do? I don't know what to say. But, humans are social creatures, and we need that. Yeah. Most of us, I certainly do. That's the best part of the show is the best part of being in a rock band is you get to tour around. You go to different cities, you meet different people, you play different venues, and you get that. There's nothing like the sound of the roar of that crowd, and looking at the faces, and seeing a sea of people.
And getting that feedback during that show, man, that makes the hair stands up on my arm.
Yeah, exactly.
Would you say this band is one of the best kept secrets in rock and roll, man? At all?
Maybe. I'd like it not to be such a secret anymore.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stand on my soapbox with a megaphone and yell from the bleachers as loud as I can, and just keep touring.
I thought this was very interesting. The band has never recorded a cover, but what led you guys to choose and cover the Police song Next to You? There had to be others, especially like Misfits stuff, of course. It had to be.
Hey, the Misfits were definitely early in the running, especially because our bass player Alfonso ended up picking the Police song, but he's originally from Jersey, so he's a huge Misfits fan.
Yeah.
And we were originally going to do a Misfits cover. Then we're thinking about doing a Stooges cover, maybe a Husker Du cover. We had never done a cover on an album before. Occasionally we'll play a cover live just because it's fun and the crowd likes it. But my my whole concept was let's do a cover, but not something so obvious, like not something on the nose that people will recognize right away as a cover. Let's pick a song, maybe from a band that people know well, but maybe they don't know this particular song. And then, we're not trying to fool anyone into thinking, hey, it's our song, but they hear it and they think, hey, that's the Fastest Land Animal song. Or is it? Like, it sounds kind of familiar.
Yeah.
And then Alfonso came up with the idea after we went through lots of different ideas of songs to play, to cover. And he said, why don't we do The Police Next to You? And I thought that's kind of perfect. It's fast. First of all the Fastest Land Animal songs have to be fast. It's melodic. It's got a punk rock energy to it. It's got a ridiculously hooky hook. And, I don't think, it's not like we're playing Roxanne or something that everyone knows. We're playing an album track, an album cut. So that's how we chose it.
I wouldn't mind to see you guys tackle a Misfits song, but I wouldn't mind to see you guys throw a wrench in it and do something like from Danzig's, like, or Black Wings or something like that, just out of nowhere.
Yeah. Hey, that is a distinct possibility given how much we love Misfits. And we had a few songs in the running there. Son of a bitch, I can't.
We're Eagles there, folks.
Exactly.
Or do Skulls. That'd be a good one too.
That's a good one.
Astros.
We were seriously considering where Eagles there, but the last minute the Police won out. But we got plenty more time to cover the Misfits.
That's exactly right. Many more albums and many more surprises, guys and gals. That's it. Do you feel this album had to come out and make a statement for the band or no?
I mean, we're not a political band. We're not like, at least at this point in our career, we're not like the Clash or something. But I mean, I think, every song has a story to tell. A lot of it's about alienation, coming off COVID. A lot of it's about being somewhere and you're not quite sure how you got there and if you belong there. A lot of it is leaving your life behind and riding off into the sunset, whatever that might be. There's a lot of like dusty desert town cowboy imagery in there. So I think, really it's about the connective tissue between a lot of the songs is feeling isolated and feeling like you don't really belong and questioning where you are in your life and how you got there. And if this is really where you were supposed to be and what you were supposed to be doing and who you're supposed to be, what the choices you made in your life that led you to where you are.
With this second album, did you want to do something similar to the first album or just throw things and see where they may land on this album?
No, I definitely wanted to stick with the formula, which was, all songs have to be fast. Don't bore us, get to the chorus, hooks, energetic, and rockin'. We did have a couple of this. We had this hard and fast rule. No songs slower than 150 beats per minute. Yeah. And we did break that rule with a couple of songs that are slightly slower, like about 130. Still pretty fast, but Out of Range is one of those songs that comes in about 130. But most of them are pretty fast. And Cowboys in Nashville, another song you mentioned, that had I played around with a real distorted sounding vocal on that. And I think we're going to try and we're going to do a lot more music like that, like even heavier, even faster.
Oh, nice. So,
yeah.
How long did it take to write and record this album?
It's so hard to tell because it wasn't like a traditional, we go to the recording studio for 6 weeks or 8 weeks or 4 weeks, record all the tracks, and then we mix it, in another 2 weeks, and then we're done. Since we're working from home, we could be a little bit, I don't want to say relaxed, but we could take a little bit more time in the recording process. But I would say, I mean, it took a few months to record, but when we were recording, it was quick. Like I did all the vocals on the album in maybe 6 days, lead vocals, backing vocals, everything. But when I work with Don, the producer, we work really efficiently and quickly when we're doing vocals. Some of the guitar and bass parts took a little longer. But I would say like the whole album was recorded and mixed within like 2.5 months, maybe.
And you said the key word in your statement just then, we were relaxed. We could take our time.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's a lot of albums that came out during this pandemic that sounded so good, man, and wasn't rushed. And you could tell when an album's rushed, you know it just as well as I do, because you're a musician, you go through all this.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of good stuff that came out during this pandemic. And some bands have told me they've got enough for 3 or 4 albums. I'm like, are we really going to see the light of day? Because when everything gets back together, your mind frame's going to be somewhere else.
It's true. Well, I have the benefit of I'm in something called the Song Game. It was started by an Austin-based musician named Bob Schneider, who's a good friend of mine, and he's been doing this for years. I'm in the game, and there's maybe 18 or 20 of us musicians. The idea is that every week Bob sends out a word or a phrase. You have to write and record a song incorporating that word or phrase and send it back to the group by like Tuesday of that week or whatever that day is that week.
Yeah.
So every week you're writing a new song, and other people are going to hear the song. Now it's not about going back and listening to the other person's song and commenting on it or grading it. That's not what it's about. It's just about you knowing you're recording a song that other musicians that you respect are going to hear. And if you write 52 songs a year, basically, because you're writing a song almost every week, some of them are going to be good. A lot of them are going to be terrible. Some of them you think are bad, but they are good, or they have pieces that work and you can, glue them together. But the basic concept is by the end of the year, you have 52 songs. So for the last, 2 years, I've been lazy since the first album, Fastest Land Animal record. I've been focused on writing songs in the Song Game that would suit Fastest Land Animal. So I've always got a backlog of, maybe they're not all perfect finished songs, but there's a lot of ideas and recordings that, a few months whenever we're done touring off of this album, I'll have stuff to put together to start working on the third record.
What led the track Out of Range to be the first song released for this album? What was it about it that said, yeah, that's got to go out first for us?
I mean, I just like the song. I think it was my favorite song or one of my favorite songs on the record. It had this, this vibe about it. It's about this guy who's sitting in a Mexican town. Do you remember? I'm trying to remember the name of the movie with Ben Stiller. It was a remake, The Heartbreak Kid, and he gets stuck in Mexico, and he can't get home. He's lost his passport, and he's like stranded. So I was thinking of that character. Like I'm in a border town somewhere. It could be Texas. It could be Mexico. It doesn't matter. And I'm just stuck. I can't get home. There's dust and there's sun and there's dirt on my face, and I'm drinking tequila, even though I don't really want to. And the lyrics just were so, I know if my lyrics, lyrics writing for me is not come that naturally. So when a lyric just writes itself, I know that's probably a good song. And this lyric wrote itself. It was really easy to memorize these lyrics, from when I sing it live, because I thought they were really visual. They really set a scene, and I really like the hook in the chorus. It had the verses have a cool riff, sort of sounds, like you're in the desert somewhere riff. And then in the chorus, I do this little trick, which I'll go to the third instead of the root in the bass, and that kind of turns things on its head in an interesting way. I'm getting probably way too technical. This isn't a songwriting masterclass or anything, but this song just had all the ingredients I like in a song, and I was like pretty proud of it. So let's have this one be the first single.
Was there a track that you guys were working on for this album that totally ended up sounding different than what it was intended to?
Probably When the Rubber Hits the Road, which is the last song on the album. I had just written the verses basically, which was this repetitive thing that just went over and over and over again. And I figured that would be a nice little coda to the album. Almost like, it sounds almost prayerful, like you're just hearing the same thing over and over, getting drilled into your head. And then Don, our producer, came up with the idea, let's do a chorus. And we don't even have lyrics in the chorus. I don't even know if it's a chorus. Maybe it's a bridge. But there's another section, a B section, where it's just ooh, ooh, oohs and no actual words. And so that's what we wrote. But I wasn't expecting the song to go in that direction. But, Don helped guide the ship that way. And it really came out pretty cool.
Any tracks standing out more to you than any right now on this album? I know these are your babies, and I totally understand that. But are there any that stick out for you personally?
Definitely Out of Range sticks out for me personally. And maybe say Run and Hide. It's a character driven song. It's about like a James Bond kind of guy who's maybe he's a little too tough, and he's a little too abusive of his own body and soul, and he's drinking too much, and he's on the lam, and maybe he screwed up, and who knows if he's a bad guy or a good guy. But I like that image of the anti-hero who's can't go home, and he's got to be on the lam, essentially.
Was the track listing placement important for this album?
That's always really important to me. I mean, it's a struggle it's like kind of a daunting task, because you never, at least I haven't ever recorded the songs in the order that they're going to be on the album, because you don't know what they sound like until they're done. And then once they're done, then you can kind of figure out how they all fit together. But I do that completely, on my own. I'll run it by the other guys and say, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? But it's like making a mixtape, or back when they had, I think they have tapes again. But when you'd make a mixtape, the order is so important, and the songs need to be sequenced just in the right way. And it takes a little while to get there, but once you figure it out, there's no other way it could have worked like that. The sequence is the only, there's only 12 songs or so. That's the only way all these songs could have fit together that would make sense for this album. And it's got to be like reading a book or watching a movie. I think the White Album is like the most masterfully sequenced album in the history of music, probably, or certainly rock and roll. And that's a long album. That's like a 75-minute album. But the way those songs are linked together makes it like you have to listen to the whole thing from beginning to end. The end of one song draws you into the beginning of the next song. That's what I strive for.
Any songs that did not make the self-titled album in 21 end up on this new album at all?
No. These are all new songs. There's one, Cowboys in Nashville. We never considered it for the first album. That was a song I had written like years and years ago. And I had it just tucked away on my computer. And we wanted to put another song on the album. And I remember thinking, Cowboys in Nashville is a fast song. It's like pretty heavy rocker. And I think this is a Fastest Land Animal song. Let me, play it for the guys. And at that point, it was only like, it was really quick. It was like a minute and 20-second song or something. But I played it for them and they're like, yes, that's totally going to be on the album. So then we added a bridge section and expanded the lyrics. I had to write a lot more lyrics, that's for sure. And we doubled the length of the chorus, and then we came out with that. So I guess that's the song that took me the longest to write, because from beginning to end, that took me over a decade to write that song, technically.
Jeez. So being a punk rock fan and growing up loving the punk rock scene and everything like that and all the punk rock music, and now having this band, how much traditional sounding did you want to keep this band? But add your own twist to it to make it Fastest Land Animal that, it's ours.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely deviated from the classic punk rock of, guitar, bass, drums, vocals, that's it. We added a lot of keyboard, almost brought it from, the punk rock world, sort of touching slightly on the new wave world.
Okay.
But what we did use a lot of vintage, mostly vintage analog keyboards, not a lot of digital, keyboards that are in your computer. So like if you see behind me, I've got some old Moogs back there. And there's something first of all, you got to play the thing live. You can't use something that's called MIDI. Basically, if you play a digital keyboard, all the notes are on a screen and you can move them around and tune them and change, the rhythm of them. When you're playing these old analog keyboards, it's like playing a live instrument. So what you're doing is going to tape, not into a computer program. But there's something really huge, and especially with a lot of the subby bass parts that we use these on. It's just a big chewy sound, and there's something to be said for creating something that hasn't been there before. There's oscillators on these things. You dial those, you dial different envelope filters and LFOs and white noise, and you create your own sound. And it's really satisfying. And when we for example, the solo on Next to You I did it all on this Moog behind this shoulder.
That's
a mirror image of me. That one. So I did a whole bunch of takes, and then we picked, the best of those takes and put it together. And it was also the keyboard I was playing was monophonic, meaning I can only play one note at a time. I couldn't do chords or two notes at a time. So I had to play two different tracks, one with the melody part of the solo and one with the harmony part of the solo.
Does this band work better as a three-piece, or would you eventually like to add a new member, possibly a fourth member?
For recording, we work great as a three-piece. For playing live, we got two other dudes that come with us on the road because we just can't, we only have so many arms and legs. There's only so many instruments we could play at the same time.
Yeah.
Alfonse, our guitar and bass player, can't play guitar and bass simultaneously. And he did a lot of really cool guitar work on this album. So we got two guys, this guy Tommy and this guy Danny, who come out on the road with us. And so for live performances, we got a few more bodies in the kitchen, as it were.
What's the growth musically you've seen from yourselves working on this album compared to the self-titled album? And I know you guys have been musicians for years, but has there been any growth possibly that you've seen?
Yeah, I mean, like I just said before, using a lot more of those keyboards, those analog synths, having a couple of songs there that we slowed down a little bit. There's a ballad on there called Mercy. I mean, it's a ballad in that it's, a punk rock ballad. It's not totally slow and treacly or any of that, but it's powerful. And it's called Mercy Kiss. And it really, we had an opportunity to soar a little more on this album instead of just drilling your face in.
A lot of bands go the EP route, but you guys released another full length. Does full length suit this band better than the EP route?
It's so, and I don't know that it matters that much. At the end of the day, people are going to consume music song by song or album by album or EP by EP. I just love the idea of a full length LP. I think it's the perfect package for this type of music, or rock or pop in general. It's what I grew up with. It's like made a huge comeback at this point. And I just feel like, we could just release a song whenever it's ready and just throw it out there. But then that doesn't, I don't know. I feel it kind of, the excitement of, it, having this album that people have to wait for, and that it comes out and it's got a cool cover and it's got a story behind it, and the songs are interconnected, and it's like reading a book or watching a movie. Like that, just to me, is the perfect way to consume music.
Working with Don Gilmore, does he get something out of you guys that somebody else may not get, possibly?
Yeah, I mean, Don, he's like the director of the movie. And a lot of time bands, they don't know, if they don't have a producer, they're sort of rudderless. They don't know when to stop. And that's a big problem. Like, first of all, you get caught up. They call it, you're in the black hole of your own butthole. Like, is this the right mic? Should we redo the vocal? Is this good? Is this effect right? Do the drums be louder? Is this song done yet? And, Don takes that all away from you. He gets you in the studio. He gets just enough takes that he knows he's got what he needs to make the album. Mm-hmm. And then he puts it together, and you'll listen to it, and sometimes you'll be like, oh, we should change this or we should change that. But by and large, he finishes the song, and you don't have to worry about, is it done yet? But he's the director of the movie, as it were. And plus, he's just a really chill, calm guy. He's like our Buddha. He takes as much stress out of what can become a stressful situation. He takes it out, especially doing vocals. Like, that's a really personal thing.
Sure.
You're singing your heart out in front of another human being. And I'm at this point just working with him. He makes you feel really comfortable, and he'll say things like, that take was really good, but maybe you think you can beat it. Like, that's his style. And it works for me. It definitely works for the other guys in the band as well.
Who did the artwork for this album?
That's all our drummer, Shark Samuels. He does all the design work for us. I wish I was better at that kind of stuff. Like, I wish I was like a Jack White, like I had a visual acuity, or that's so not my thing. This is my ears or the most artistic thing about me, not my, visually. I'm a terrible painter, and I wish I was better. I would love to have like this notebook with all these cool drawings in it, but I just don't have that. I got my demo tapes. That's, basically what I have.
I just want to win the lottery big time so I can escape.
That's good too. Money doesn't suck.
I got to have that dream, sir. I got to have that dream. What do you hope everyone takes away while listening to these new songs, or just Fastest Land Animals music in general? What do you hope they get from it?
I hope they get a sense of joy, a sense of abandon. I hope they listen to the song and it reminds them of something good in their lives. And I really hope it just drives people to the shows. I want to see people out there and meet new folks and play in new cities and keep doing this.
I know you had a lot of music growing up. I know you still have a lot of music to this day that you still listen to, but do you still have a go-to album or a song that you find yourself going back to and listening to from time to time? You can't kick it out, man.
Yeah. I'm going to say, anything by the Beatles. But I think Kiss, Beth.
Oh,
song I can't stop going back to. One of the best power ballads ever written.
Peter Criss.
Indeed.
The Cat Man.
The cat.
Oh, and sadly, and I'm just going to say this right now, please don't keep Kiss going on and having new members to be, Star Child and all that stuff. Just be done with it.
Kiss, I mean, they are definitely a spectacle live. And I guess they can, as long as they have the makeup on, you really can't tell who's on stage. But so it's always been Gene and Paul for sure.
Sure. All right. If you could be a member in an iconic band and play one of their legendary shows, which band would it be and what show possibly?
I'd like to be jamming with Leslie West at Woodstock.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'd like to play like keyboards in that band. I don't think they had a keyboard player necessarily, but I think I could add a lot playing organ and keys for those guys back then.
Dude, you're the first one to ever mention Woodstock on here to play a show. So that's good. We got Woodstock on here now. The last one was Queen's Live Aid. Yeah. How can folks stay in touch with Fastest Land Animal? Buy this new album, buy the self-titled album, debut album. How can they do that, sir?
Let's go to our website is fastestlandanimal.band. Or if you just, type into your search engine Fastest Land Animal and then band. Otherwise, you'll probably just get a bunch of pictures of cheetahs. You'll find us, and we're on all the streaming services. Our music's available on, all the Spotify's and all those kinds of things.
And I'll have all your links in this interview when I post it. So nobody can't say, I don't know where to go get it or where to go find them. It'll be in the podcast and you'll have the links there. No excuses.
Thank you very much, John the Bod.
Hey, before I let you go, would you care to do a promo for my show?
Sure. No problem. Hey, everybody. This is Screamin' Jack Novak from Fastest Land Animal, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Everybody stick around. We'll have some great interviews coming up, and you only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour. Please get out and check out our Facebook page. It has our podcast link and that YouTube link that if you like what I do, please go and subscribe to it. Takes 2 seconds to go subscribe. Click the notification bell so that way you'll keep up with everything that I'm doing because I got a lot of great stuff coming up that I'm telling you right now. You don't want to go nowhere else to listen to it. Right here on this show. Get out and check out Fastest Land Animal. They've released their sophomore album entitled East Coast, West Coast, In Between. And check out their singles Out of Range, Cowboys in Nashville, Next to You. And just give this band a fair shot. I'm pretty sure you guys will dig them. So, Jack, man, thank you so much for doing this interview. And I truly appreciate you, man.
Thank you, John. I appreciate you too. And have a great one.
You too, man.
You're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.